Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closers. As always, your host, Scott Carson. Excited to be here with you this morning. Extremely jacked up to have our very special guest on. We have the founder and president of Quest Trust Company, the one, the only, the self-directed IRA maverick and awesome all-around investor as well. Our good friend, Quincy H Long, joining us from Houston, Texas this morning. Good morning, Quincy.
Good morning. How are you, Scott?
Proud to be here. I am doing wonderful. Can't complain. It's good to be back home in Austin after 2 weeks on the road. But you've been off gallivanting around the globe as well, doing some amazing things too, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. I do that. You guys can still see me okay, right?
Yeah, you're good. You're golden. I can still see everything.
Off in my office because it's a big office and the motion sensor's on the other side of the office.
Well, that's one way to say.
You can still see me. That's okay.
You are golden. So you just got back from a little trip as well, and are getting to head out in a couple of weeks to Ireland. Is it true? Correct?
That's right. I like to travel a lot, and sometimes, like from being on the road, sometimes it gets tiring. But I go to interesting places and do interesting things and meet interesting people. So, what the heck? I'm having a good time.
Well, we've got a large audience, and we're excited. This is also the first episode that's going live across our nationwide radio network this morning, across 16 different AM and FM radio stations from Tampa to Vegas and Long Beach. And so basically from East Coast to West Coast, we're honored to have you on as the first guest. But for those that are listening or watching the replay in this show that don't know who Quincy Long is, why don't you take a second and fill them in on who you are?
Well, sure. I'm a legend in my own mind, and my reputation exceeds me. But basically, I am, as he said, I founder and CEO. Actually, you said president. That's Nathan, but founder and CEO of Quest Trust Company. And so what we are is we're a company which handles self-directed accounts, IRAs, HSAs, Coverdell's, and individual 401ks. And so we act as the custodian for those types of accounts, and those types of accounts can buy alternative, not really alternative, let me say it as non-traditional investments. So wouldn't be surprised to learn that it can buy notes, including notes secured by real estate, including performing and non-performing notes. It can buy real estate itself. It can buy into limited partnerships, LLCs, and trusts. And so we hold the assets on behalf of people's IRAs, basically, and other accounts.
Yeah, and you guys have done a tremendous job over there, just recently becoming a trust company as well, since
That's
November.
Right.
That's exciting stuff. But for those that don't know, why don't we take it back just a few years back to kind of how everything got started? What's the beginning roots of Quest? What does that look like? You want to share that story a little bit?
Sure. And so what happens is it is all about networking, Scott. I'm a big proponent of networking. And anyway, through that networking, the first thing that happened is we kind of decided to get together. We all had self-directed IRAs, and we thought it'd be more fun to get together as a group and talk about ideas and do deals with each other. So I started doing that. And a couple years into that, I was running a title company. I was a fee attorney for American Title Company. And through those two businesses or interactions, I came to know the head of my self-directed IRA company. I didn't have one then. A couple of years later, he basically said, hey, we want to start, networking or branching out and having affiliate offices throughout the country. And I said, sign me up. I'm bored with what I'm doing. So basically from there, I took some brief training and was a full-fledged third-party administrator for self-directed IRAs, and kind of grew and grew and grew into the point where we decided to convert last year into a Texas licensed trust company. So now we're the actual custodian for these accounts. That's a brief history of how that worked. We've been at this now for 16 years. So not newbies in the business.
No, not newbies by far, definitely. And you've grown from just being a fee attorney to having quite a staff across Houston, Dallas, Austin. But that's just a drop in the bucket, because I think Ingrid and Nate Hare were telling me last month that you guys are doing having something close to like over 600 events across the country. Is that correct, Quincy?
Well, that's between the events that we actually do ourselves and events where we attend, like note conferences and things like that. Yes, we do quite a bit, and we have staff on the road, and I'm on the road, and so we try our best.
Well, what I also love what you guys are doing over there is it's just not events, but you also have such a huge emphasis on education. I mean, you are the Houston office is providing weekly training, and then also live and streaming to Facebook. You just a couple, back in January, you had an amazing event with your Masters of Tax Evasion online summit as well, with several hundred.
Not evasion, Scott.
Sorry, say that again.
Good heavens, Scott.
My apology. My coffee's not kicked in yet this morning. Avoidance, not evasion. Masters of Tax Avoidance, not evasion. Exactly. What's funny is last week I was in Tampa, actually 2 Wednesdays ago, and got a chance to hang out with our good friend Jeff Watson. Stopped by an event that I was doing and visit with him for a little bit. We talked about the online event, but you guys there just do a tremendous job providing education, providing networking opportunities to people all across the country. So if you're listening to this and you're outside of Texas, I highly, highly, highly recommend Quest Trust Company, because not only do they provide an education, their customer service is number one. There's never.
Yeah. And we do have, even though we have 3 Texas offices, because we are a Texas trust company, we do service IRAs and other accounts from all over the country, because we've been at this for a very long time.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things we were talking about a little bit earlier, we'll dive into, because somebody's asking a question here online. Where does Quincy think 2019 is going to go for the real estate market? Do you have a crystal ball you'd like to share with everybody?
Oh, I have a perfect crystal ball. What it tells me is that, just like everybody in the industry, I'm looking for a softening in the market. I don't know that it'll be a crash, and it's hard to tell whether it's going to start softening in 2019 or 2020, but I think the uptick, Scott, markets are in a state of waves, right? You go up and down and up and down, and we've been up for an awful long time. And hopefully we've learned the lessons from 2008 and on, that we haven't over leveraged everything in this economy. So when it does soften, it'll be just a softening and not a crash like we had back then. But certainly some correction is due to be made. And the question mark is when. I don't know that part, but I do know some softening in the market is going to happen.
Yeah, I would agree to that. I mean, we're starting to see some things, I mentioned a little bit, talking about beforehand. We both believe understanding what goes into with notes, with distressed notes, or a lot of owner finance. We think that's going to be a huge opportunity.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Already is.
Yeah, when the mortgage market dries up, and then you get more seller financing transactions, and just like you can buy, a note that's from a mortgage company, you can buy a privately financed note as well. You're going to want to look for things like that it was done by a registered mortgage loan originator, RMLO, and stuff like that for the value of the notes. But there's opportunities in every market. If there's blood in the streets, there's opportunities. If there's gold in the streets, there's still opportunities. It's all about knowing what's coming and anticipating and adjusting to the market. And I think we're posed here at Quest to have a big growth in the near future because of all the opportunities that are going to come up.
Yeah, I would totally agree to that. We're seeing markets in Florida starting to soft, especially like Miami. Some of the higher end, especially, is starting to drag a little bit, and then the phones have started to ring a little bit more from different asset managers at banks that are looking to move some stuff off their books. So the paper game, as I like to say, I think it's profitable in an up and down market because there's opportunities across the board.
And
Whether
the
you
third
are,
thing is not to panic. The thing is to get educated as to what the possibilities are and take advantage of it. Sometimes you may have to switch your methodology or your techniques for investing, but there's no reason to panic at all. Uh, the thing that you want to do is get control of your money. And so for some of the people listening, that may mean that you want to convert some, if not all of your money into self-directed accounts where you can take advantage of these opportunities without withdrawing the money from your retirement account.
that's right. You can do that penalty free, correct, Quincy? They can do a rollover.
I mean, we're just like Fidelity or Schwab or any other custodian of IRAs, except that we handle the non-traditional investment like notes and real estate and things like we talked about before.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And surprising to some out there, though, I mean, you guys have quite a bit under management. What would you say is the largest classification of investments that your clients have with you? Is it in fix and flips? Is it in notes? Is it in different variety of different things? What's kind of the biggest footprint that you guys?
There's three big ones, right? There's real estate itself. There's real estate secured notes, or let me just say this, notes mostly secured by real estate, sometimes unsecured, although I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then there's private investments like LLCs, limited partnerships, and trusts and things like that. But I think probably notes overall is probably the biggest category, although we've also gotten a lot of private LLCs, limited partnerships, trusts, and things like that. And I think probably, if I had to guess, the majority of those involve real estate in some sort of way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would probably bet you're right on that as well too for you. What's the biggest surprise for those that are looking to either start an account, roll over the account? What's the biggest surprise that you see or you've seen over your 16 years of experience from investors out there, whether it's not taking action or trying to time the market, or what's the biggest surprise that kind of makes you shake your head a little bit, Quincy?
Well, of course, I have a self-interested view in this, but but the biggest surprise that people tell me all the time, I wish I'd known you 20 years ago. I wish I'd known I could do this 20 years ago. And the second comment we get, and this is, I hear all the time, well, you've changed my life. Well, all I'm doing is offering a product or a service, not really, but the service apparently is value to a lot of people. And so I'm not saying that to brag, Quincy Long, am changing people's lives, but the freedom that you get to invest in things that you know best as opposed to what some fund manager knows best is really gives you a lot of freedom to build your wealth and build it more safely, because you know better than anyone the areas that you want to invest in. And sometimes that's just not the stock market.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. I was talking with a group last week about, they were asking me about the stock market, and I kind of chuckled. I said, well, if you look back at what Wall Street announced as the best investment for them was to be in cash at a whopping 1.9% average across last year. That doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize, hey, you're better off taking control of your own investments versus investing in a fund or stock market or things like that right now, especially the way the market is right now, huh, Quincy?
Well, and I'm not trying to suggest that the stock market isn't a good thing to do. It's just that what I do is provide you with an alternative way of investing. So I'm not, bashing the people that do invest in funds and stocks and stuff like that. What we do is kind of a niche, and basically it's for people that want to take control of their retirement and invest in something that they know best. And so that's not, we're obviously not a provider for everybody, because not everybody can make good decisions about their own investments, and they need that guidance from a traditional type of custodian. So Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. It's just we're a very powerful force for those who have the skills to invest and the desire to do so.
Exactly. Now, what is your favorite thing to do inside of your investment? I know it's an open-ended question, and we could go on hours and hours about this.
Oh boy.
But what's your favorite? What's your favorite bread and butter
I
investment?
have kind of two favorites, Scott, really.
Okay.
So, you wouldn't be surprised if one favorite is notes. I like investing in notes, although with all due respect to you, I like creating the notes more than I like buying, performing or non-performing notes from portfolios, though I've done quite well with some of that myself. But I like the creating the notes or buying seller finance notes at a discount. So I like discounted notes, whether I create them or buy them from somebody else. It's really kind of one of my favorite techniques. But the other technique is, and I think it's not really for your listeners here, but I'm fundamentally lazy, as you know. And so I like doing stuff that somebody else does the work. And I've made some good investments in limited partnerships and other things like that, where I've made some very nice returns and haven't done much other than the due diligence. So there's always a consideration of an effort to return ratio. How long does it take you to get the return? But those are my two favorite techniques: is having somebody else do all the work and then do notes. Done a lot of other things, but those are my two faves.
Yeah, well, let's spend a little time on the origination side there. Definitely nothing wrong with buying owner finance notes, as long as we talked about earlier about having a licensed RMLO to review the paperwork, make sure that everything is up to par, all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted out there,
Right.
especially since Dodd-Frank went into effect back in 2014. But you are also a wizard when it comes to using different accounts there at Quest Trust Company too. And I think a lot of people forget that there are some different accounts they can use to really kind of help boost their retirement or boost their savings. You want to shed a little light on a couple of your favorite accounts?
Well, sure. And they're all my favorites, but basically we have the traditional IRA, and that's of course not only where the money goes for if you want a deductible contribution into your IRA, it's typically into a traditional IRA. Then we have but that's also, by the way, where former employers go to live. The former employer plans can be rolled into a traditional IRA, and that way you get control. So if you basically get downsized, either voluntarily or otherwise, and you have the ability to then draw the money out of the 401k or 403b or whatever, 457 or whatever type of plan you have, you can roll that into a traditional IRA without penalty and then use it to make investments. Or if you know somebody that's been downsized, either voluntarily or involuntarily, they may be a source of financing for your transaction. So that's a big source of money in IRAs and traditional IRAs. Then you've got the Roth IRA, which we all would love to have a lot of money in, because though you don't get a deduction for putting the money in, it's all after-tax money going in. All the profits are tax-free as long as they're distributed under a qualified distribution. Then you've got the 3 employer plans, which are the SEP IRA, the Simple IRA, and the individual 401k if you have self-employment income, but no employees, no common law employees. And finally, we would like to share with you the Would You Like Fries with That accounts. The Coverdell Education Savings Account provides tax-free money for education from kindergarten through college. And then the health savings accounts. Well, that's a really wild one, because most people don't know that you can actually buy alternative investments in an HSA account.
Yeah, that's one of the most amazing accounts out there with what you can do with the HSA. And of course, if you've got kids, having an ESA is also important and a very, very useful tool to start saving for education or start saving for other things out there as well.
It always costs more than you think.
Yeah, and I think you just finished. Did you just graduate one of your daughters out of college just recently as well too?
My oldest daughter graduated from Southern Methodist University in Dallas and is awaiting the fall to go to her master's program somewhere in north of Dallas.
Congratulations. That's exciting, huh?
I get a raise. Now the other one's coming up, but anyway.
Good times, good times. But there's also, let's take it back a little second. We talked about how people are rolling money over from their old 401k into a traditional IRA.
Right.
There is a special thing that they can do to take that account and turn it into a Roth, correct?
That's right. They can do a Roth conversion. And it used to be that there was a provision that said if you made over $100,000, you could not convert your money in a traditional IRA to a Roth. But that rule went away in 2010. So now basically anybody, no matter how much money you make, if you're willing to pay the taxes up front, then you can convert that to a Roth IRA and make all that money tax free.
And then use it to invest and have it all, definitely, you said, tax free growth, which is a phenomenal aspect of versus being taxed on whatever whatever your taxable rate is when you withdraw the money on a traditional IRA later in life, correct?
Correct.
That's awesome. Now, that's a great thing. Everybody can get a Roth. That's one of the great things. Now, you can do that. What is that? You call it the Roth two-step, basically, the conversion once a year now. Is that correct?
Now, what happens is that the two-step, as you're referring to it, is because the contribution rules didn't change in 2010. So there's income limits of how much you can have and still put money directly into the Roth. But that's never been a problem for me because even though I exceed those limits, and this is fully available and nothing tricky, we're not trying to cheat the government, but they actually allow me to put a money into a traditional IRA and then convert it to a Roth. And because I'm covered by a retirement plan at work here at Quest, that shouldn't surprise anybody, that I don't get to deduct that contribution to my traditional IRA. So therefore, when I convert it, it doesn't cost anything because I have an after-tax basis in my traditional IRA. So basically, the two steps are: one, contribute an after-tax contribution to a traditional IRA, and two, convert that to a Roth to get money into your Roth, which you can't do directly. But it's okay. It's good. It's all cool.
It's all good. Well, that's a good thing for people to think about is they're converting things over into if they were to do a conversion, they'd still be able to go back and put money into their Roth towards 2018 contribution amounts. And then after that's up to April 15th, correct, Quincy?
That's right. Or whatever tax day is this year. That's right.
Exactly. And then they'd be able to, I think what the individual amounts have increased to 6,000 per individual out there for a Roth as well?
2019, yes. It's gone to 6,000 for those under age 50 by the end of the year. And it goes up to 7,000 for those age 50 or over by the end of the year.
Yeah, because technically that's a good chunk. I mean, that's technically 11,500 for most individuals, or just at 12,000 with the catch-up provisions out there. And I believe that the Dallas office has a special thing coming up here in March with March Madness and kind of getting things started off with small accounts. How to do that, correct?
Well, I'm sure that's true. They usually find some way to give away money and. Of course, as the primary owner of the company, I always kind of grumble about that. But yes, you can go to our website and check out the latest specials. I mean, we want to encourage people to save money because what happens is you think you're going to miss it, but you suck it up and put that money in there, and then you don't miss it. And if it's in a regular contribution in a Roth IRA, it can be drawn out at any time, tax and penalty free anyway. And conversion contributions to a Roth IRA can be drawn out after 5 tax years. So a lot of people don't know that, and they don't know that Roth IRAs are a perfect way to save because you can access not the profits, mind you, but you can access the principal contributions at any time. So it's a safe way to save money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you mentioned something there. There's that 5 year on it. Start it now. Don't wait till you think you can put away. Start an account now. Get that timer working for you on your behalf versus waiting till later to do it.
Exactly.
And what I love so much about what Quest Trust is coming, you've got such an easy way for people to open accounts, whether it's, going to questtrust.com, checking it out. They're able to open all these accounts electronically. And then the staff is amazing in follow-up as far as reaching out and being there to answer any questions or to discuss any of your, the paperwork need to get filed on behalf. They're not there to get investment advice. Let's make that clear.
No, that's right. Self-directed means the self is the IRA owner and not Quest or Quincy Long or any of our IRA specialists. We're here to provide the education of what you can do, but basically it's up to you to find the investments and do your own due diligence on the investments that you want to purchase in your IRA.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then they've also got an amazing portal that is constantly being updated to allow for payments and distributions and wires and getting faster and faster and helping people deploy their funds and investments as well out there. So
we really, in the last couple of years, put an emphasis on technology to improve and speed up the process. We funded over $60 million worth of investments in January alone.
Wow.
So, we got a hopping business here, and the use of technology helps the clients, but it also helps us process things faster.
Exactly. And you do such a great job with, the whole staff does a great job with your online events. Like I said, the event that took place in January, the Masters of Tax Avoidance event for the second year in a row. You had people from all across the country joining there. But let's talk a little bit. You had last August, you guys had your first Quest Expo take place in Dallas, a huge roaring success. And you've got one upcoming here, August 23rd, 24th, and 25th, taking place in the hometown of Houston this year. Any surprises that we should be looking for that event?
Well, the surprise is if you want in, you better buy your ticket early, because we literally started selling tickets at the last expo because people were pretty impressed with the quality of the speakers and the vendors and just the sheer number of people. There were about between 500 and 600 attendees at the seminar, and it was cheap too, a couple $100 or something for a couple of days of speakers and high quality people that were there to network with. It was an amazing event, and we had a good time. We were all exhausted, of course, at the end of it, but it's a great time, and you meet people with a like mind. That's always, remember, we go back to networking, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
It always is about networking. So why not go where other people that think like you do or that you want to do are? And that's at the Quest Expo and other events that we hold here in the office and other places in the country.
Yeah, that's a very thing. It all comes down to your tribe. It all comes down to the people that you network with. And then you have, if you want to check out more information on their upcoming event, it's questexpo.com. Actually, and you guys are nice enough, if you use the code Carson19, it'll get you a bit of a discount off the ticket. But you've expanded it from 2 days to 3 days. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event taking place in Houston. Check it out, everybody. I was honored to be a speaker and a vendor there. We'll be doing the same thing again this year. We loved it so much what you're doing, Quincy. We changed our schedule to match around that event. We actually, we have our Note Mastermind event that meets 3 times a year as well. When we found out you're doing it again in August, we're like, hey, we're going to change our Mastermind event to be that same weekend at the same hotel. So that it's such a win-win, not only for our students to be there,
wow,
but it allows everybody an opportunity to really network with a lot of people out there. And we heard people raising capital at the event. We heard people finding deals at the event. We obviously a ton of people there to hear about education, just not on notes, but a variety of things, marketing, and then a whole ton of case studies. Just a great, you had Bob Zackemeyer, Don Rickabaugh, Eddie Speed, myself, Jason Bible, RJ Bates, just a drop in the bucket of the personalities that were there to provide a lot of great content out there for everybody. Of course, you got the amazing Quest staff as well. Now,
we don't actually allow selling from the stage, so this is not a pitch fest.
Correct.
This is an education and networking event.
Huge, and people really love that about the fact, hey, pure content, like you said, no pitching. It's there to provide nothing but great nuggets for everybody in the audience so that they can expand their knowledge of things when it comes to investing, but also with their self-directed IRAs. Now, Quincy, you are constantly doing deals as you're out traveling. As you said, you like to be a lazy investor, which is good. Hey, that is the best way to be. You have a deal that comes to mind, a creative deal that you'd like to share with Note Nation out there?
Oh my goodness, there's so many of them. I'll tell you a couple of recent ones that came to fruition. This was an interesting one because I bought a second lien, and I don't usually buy second liens, but I bought a second lien note that was newly created, and it was for a $20,000 note that I bought for $5,000, and the payments were going to pay me back in about 2.5 to 3 years. So I figured, well, I might get 27 years of payments for free, and I'm rolling the dice on a $5,000 investment. And so I really expected to just continue for a long period of time. After 31 months, he paid it off while I was on a cruise, by the way. He paid it off, and so my $5,000 went to $25,000 in a little over 2.5 years on a second lien note in my HSA, by the way. I think that was pretty darn fun project there. Another one that came to mind I thought was a very interesting technique, and I don't know that very many people talk about it, but I did a note hypothecation deal. Have you ever heard of that, Scott?
Yes, sir, I have. But yeah, I'm interested to hear about this deal.
So basically, I had an opportunity to buy a $275,000 note. Really good security, maybe worth as much as $1 million. Certainly worth, $600,000 and up. Just depends on the buyer. And I went by and I drove the property, and there's a big gate, and it's 16 plus acres, and it's only 16 miles from my lake house. And so I said, man, this is good. And I offered the opportunity to somebody, and they said, oh, I don't want to do that. And I said, well, I do. I said, tell you what, I'll borrow from you $275,000 at 8%, and I'll buy the note, which pays 12% plus 2 points up front. And so basically I created $5,500 up front and a net cash flow after I pay them their 8% of $917 a month for free. Because basically, I love creating money for free. And I could go on and on and on and on about note deals that I've done like that. But those are two recent ones that kind of come to mind as they were a lot of fun to create money for free. The government prints the money. I guess I can print it too by doing note deals.
That's true. $900 a month coming off of really no investment on your part. I think that's an infinite rate of return. Am I right on that?
I don't need a calculator for that, Scott.
It's called enough. That's enough, right? Let's go back to the second
opportunities like that, I can tell you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's go back a little bit. Let's deconstruct a little bit of that first deal, and we'll come back to this one.
Okay.
So you bought a second for $5,000, where the principal balance was $25, correct?
20.
Okay, $20,000. Paid $5 for it. Was there a first mortgage on the property? Do you know what the value of the property was, Quincy? Do you remember?
It was in the $150,000 range, I would say.
Okay.
And so this was he put, let me try to think of the deal. He put 15% down, I believe. And then the second was for 20, and then the first was, well, whatever the balance is. I don't remember the exact price, but that's the structure.
Was this a rehabber coming in and doing a fix and flip?
No, it
Okay.
was somebody that was going to live in the property. He was a self-employed person. And, as a person that owns a business right now, trying to get a mortgage because I bought a house in an over 55 community, it's, it's like they want to run you through the ringer because you're more, you have lots of assets and business and millions of dollars in the bank, but they got to do all this checking and double checking. And anyway, the problem with being self-employed is uh, that you may be qualified or more than qualified to pay the money, but proving it is an incredibly burdensome thing. So this was the situation with this guy. He was moving into this house, and uh, the house was, he was, as I said, putting 15% down, and the house was worth, more than he was paying for it. But it was a riskier second lien position, and so that's how it all unfolded.
Cool. Makes sense there. Makes sense definitely out there. And let's talk about, let's go back to that large deal, the note hypothecation. Basically, you found an amazing deal. You could pick up a note, 16 acres, which is nice. And also you said convenient to your property.
Right.
So it's not too far from where you're at. Value well over 600 grand that you could pick up for 275,000. Correct?
Of course, I'm not anticipating foreclosure, but if it happens, I won't be crying in my milk.
No,
I
exactly.
got two foreclosures pending on the list for tomorrow, both of which will make me a fortune if I foreclose on them.
That's the beautiful thing about it. You're not the person going down at the county courthouse being the bank. You're hiring the people, the attorneys
Absolutely.
to go out and do the work
It's a
for you.
marvelous thing. I didn't want to distract you from your questions, but yeah, the two I got for foreclosure tomorrow, they've got borrowers already, the property owners, they got borrowers already lined up and RMLO certified. And so if he doesn't close it today, I'll no doubt just go ahead and sell it to them because they've already done all the work. And as I said, I'm a lazy investor. So,
well, you've put your money to work for you. And it's constantly working, going out in the market and finding opportunities. And you're having people that are coming to you with opportunities all the time, Quincy, or
yeah, because basically I believe in the power of networking, not only for everybody else, but for myself. And so all of these are opportunities that came from my network. And it's one of the things that's really fun about this business is you can expand your territory where you invest to across the nation. Because if I didn't have this network of people, then I'd be pretty much limited to investing in the Houston, Texas area, or at least in Texas. But with so many friends in so many places, then I got boots on the ground in numerous states from the Financial Friends Network. And that allows me to choose investments more carefully. So when Harvey came, for example, to Houston and flooded a bunch of stuff, I was a little leery of doing too many investments in Houston until the Harvey effects settled down, which I think they have now. But for those 2 years, were they going to sit around with cash in the bank? Nope. I went to other locations in other states and other cities that didn't have that problem to take advantage of opportunities there. So uh, it's just so much fun, and it's very addicting, to be honest with you, to do deals. Uh, Even when I'm retired, whenever that is, it doesn't seem to be coming anytime soon. But even when I'm retired, I'll just keep doing deals just for the fun of it.
right? You sound like a little bit like a Garth Brooks song, like "I got friends in high return places."
Hey, I wouldn't give up your day job for singing. Yeah.
I would agree with that there too as well for you. But you just got back. Speaking of networking, you just got back. Also, just was it 2-3 weeks ago from Jackson, Mississippi, being down with Walter Wolford at his event?
Yep. Yeah, we we have a good time in Jackson, Mississippi. There's lots of opportunities there as well. But my buddy Walter Wofford and I, we have, as I mentioned earlier, a Financial Friends Network, and That's not associated with Quest. That's just me and Walter doing things together. And we do education and we go traveling and, have fun and create networks and create wealth through deal making and stuff like that. And so Walter had an event on how to work small dollar IRAs in Jackson, which I participated in. And we had a good time there.
Yeah, we had a few of our mastermind members and our extended note family down in Jackson came back bragging on it, which is awesome. Good to see. And I've also highly recommended out there, if you get an opportunity to check out the Financial Friends Network, because you guys have cruises that you're taking. How many cruises, on a side note, how many cruises have you and Walter taken together?
Oh, I don't know, 20 or so, maybe more than that. You kind of lost track after a while, but we do mostly cruises, but we also do some land trips. Like next week, we're headed off to Ireland for a couple of weeks, and that'll be pure driving around the country. I am thinking that's going to be way fun. And then we're going in May 20th. We're going to Cuba from Miami, and then we're going to Croatia, actually in September, although that's been booked out for more than a year. Then we're going to 5-day cruise in January. And then on my birthday next year on April 25th, we're going to a Viking river cruise in the Bordeaux region of France. I think that's all the further we have going out, although I'm pretty sure we're going to go to New Zealand and Australia in December of 2020 or January 2021. That's, I think, all the trips we have planned at the moment.
Well, I want to hear more about that Viking River cruise. Stephanie and I were just talking about that the other night, about doing that. Recently, we had dinner with some friends down at the UT Club. They had just gotten back and raved about that aspect of things. So if you didn't figure it out already, Quincy likes a good bottle of red wine as well. So if you're
Cabernet Sauvignon.
There we go. Good stuff out there.
Vino Veritas.
So what was that again, Quincy?
In Vino Veritas.
There you go. There you go. Exactly.
The truth, give me some vino and we'll talk.
There you go. Now let's talk about, we talked about where we got surprised and some things, but let's talk about, we talk about the market softening. Where do you think, we'll take it back to this. Where do you think people should not get started, but start paying attention to things? You talked about, hey, buying some owner finance notes and default stuff like that. There are any opportunities out there you think people should be partaking in as far as to put themselves in the right area or the right frame of mind when they see these things pop up on their email or on different websites and things like that, Quincy?
I mean, I think the key thing is to, one, get educated as to the area, because I mean, obviously it's self-directed. My world is self-directed, which means you have to educate yourself on the opportunities. And Scott, I don't know, is there any place other than Quest Expo that you can think of that people might be able to get some education on note opportunities and things like that?
You definitely. We're excited. We have our next Note Camp convention coming up here in April the 4th through the 7th. Is a great place. If you're later in the year, Eddie had a great event called the Note Expo as well, Eddie Speed, in November's first weekend. There's a couple other different conferences across the country, but you can always check out a lot of opportunities and a lot of different videos online too, either at weclosenotes.com. But
so the first thing you need is education. The second thing you need, if you want to do it in your retirement account, is a company like Quest Trust Company to hold your funds. So when you find those note or real estate or private opportunities, you can take advantage of them. And the third thing is you just got to pay attention, Scott. Mm-hmm. There's lots of education out there, but there's lots of people that give statistics and stuff like that. So if I'm trying to decide what to do, and a lot of my stuff's in cash, I don't have anything but one stock, and that's because my private investment went public. So just pay attention to what's going on and get a hold of statistics. And there's lots of different statistics you can read, but in your education process, figure out how to read the tea leaves and be ready when the opportunity strikes, you sometimes have to act quickly.
That's
And
the
do
beauty
your
about
due
it.
diligence. Always do your due diligence, both on the person you're doing business with and also on the asset itself. So that's an important aspect of it as well.
Oh, I totally agree to that. Trust, but verify. Always verify values. Always check out what we see that all the time, especially when we're buying distressed debts and stuff like that. We're checking out.
I would actually put it different. Verify, then trust.
There you go. I like that. Verify, then trust. Exactly. That's the truth. Because we've seen a lot of things where people will value assets way above what it is and should be at. So never ever trust a value. Always double check who you're doing business with as well too. It's one of the most important things in this business, and it is a still a small world out there. It's a talk, ask for references, check out the deals, and check out the person's team, because let's face it, not everybody's doing everything themselves. So a lot of people want to be lazy as well. So find out who they're using for their vendors, who they're using to. Some people that are brand new, that's great, but hey, if they don't have a good team surrounding them, the deal may make sense on paper, but it may not make sense in the long run as well too out there. So
absolutely. And can't overemphasize the need for due diligence, but this is, again, not for just anybody. If you're a person with limited knowledge and no entrepreneurial type spirit, then playing in the stock market or the mutual fund market is okay. I mean, because it's better to have some measure of safety than it is to risk everything. But if you're the type of person who likes to take control and educate yourself as to the possibilities, then what we do at Quest is certainly an improvement to your life.
That is saying an understatement, being an improvement to your life, definitely out there. And that's what people, I think, don't realize. I think we get so many people, and this comes from being an ex-banker, an ex-financial advisor, is we're not bashing banks, not bashing investment companies, things like that, but it's a different mindset. If you've never talked to somebody about a self-directed IRA, and a lot of people are like, oh my God, amazed, never knew it existed. There are a lot of opportunities out there. As an ex-banker, the banks are teaching people, they kind of use a little bit of scare tactics in there where they say, 1 to 4% return is very safe, 4 to 8% is mid-rate, 8 to 12 is very risky. I
personally like 500% return.
Exactly. If you know the deal and you're educated on it, you have to realize there are a lot of opportunities out there that you can do a lot of things with small amounts too, 10 grand or less, with a variety of things. What was one of your favorite things that you'd like to recommend as an option for people if they get educated on things on using a small dollar amount, Quincy, to help them grow their account?
That's a good question, Scott. Of course, I don't recommend anything because I don't give tax, legal, investment, or structuring advice, as you well know. But the most fun that I've had with a small account is to do joint ventures with other people's money, whether that be other people's self-directed IRAs or with other people's outside money. Because basically, if you have knowledge that other people don't have, then you may be able to participate in the deal in some way, because the value you bring is not only the money, but the small amount of money, but you bring the knowledge of how to do this. So I like joint ventures. Another choice would be options. I'm not talking about stock options. I'm talking about options on notes or options on real estate. Those can be used very successfully. I'm not thinking that it's as great of an idea to flip either property or notes, but people do that in their self-directed accounts. So, and that's too long of a discussion. We don't have enough time to pursue that. But anyway, we do a lot of education on the possibilities, and it's up to the investor to do their due diligence and to decide what they want to do. And then we're there to help facilitate it for them, not to give them advice, but to hold the asset on behalf of their account.
Mm-hmm. And it's not that, the beautiful thing is it's not that difficult to set a lot of these things up. As long as you're, using the right paperwork and the right structures, it's pretty easy to take a small amount, partner with somebody else's to get a deal done. Because there's a lot of people out there that, they may have a chunk of the money that they need to get it done, but they need a little bit to come in and help partner up with them.
Exactly. Education and guidance is important.
Mm-hmm. But also true, as you've always like to say, is being in the right position, in the right place, the right time, and networking, whether you're at taking part in a Quest educational class at any of the offices across the country. The whole schedule for Quest Trust Company offices in Austin, Dallas, and Houston is on the website there. They have a ton of special events each month. Each place is a $1 trillion investment mixer, which is phenomenal. Right. Anywhere from 60 to hundreds of people come out for the event, for the guest speaker. You also have a lot of lunch and learns at your different offices, which are great networking events. I know that Ingrid, I'll actually be speaking Tuesday, 9th to 26th at the Quest $1 trillion mixer here at the Austin location. So we're excited about that. And then they've also got one for the lunch and learn on the 28th here, which was the last week of March as well. They have a guest speaker that Ingrid was telling me about. So if you're available, great. Or I would also, I've told a lot of people, hey, if you're going to be investing and you really want to expand your network and really get talking and networking with fellow investors like yourself, even if you're not in one of those three cities, hey, Southwest flies pretty cheap across the country. Book a flight in, come on out, spend the day at Quest Houston office, which you guys are just rocking and rolling there. You've got almost 100 or over 100 employees now across the three branches?
Somewhere around 100. Yeah, it kind of varies day to day because, people come, they go, and, it's such a unique business that we have here that it's hard to keep up with hiring the people that you need because nobody's trained in what we do, or very few people are. So that's one of the fun challenges of my my day is to find great people.
That is, and you attract really great people. And I was talking with Ingrid the other day about how you're kind of the training process. You put everybody to your CISP, your certified IRA specialists out there that they've got to work. They got to be there for 3 years before they take a test, and that's
2 years.
2 years. They take a test. Then they have how long of a oral exam they have with you guys as well to pass?
Well, every employee has to go through 3 months of training and then pass a review. And they have a review manual. And then if you want to go to the IRA specialist level at our company, then you have to survive a grueling multi-hour grilling, which includes me, which nobody likes to go through that. But basically, even though we don't sell anything and all we provide is education, we try to make sure our employees kind of understand investments. All employees are required to take the classes that we offer to the rotating classes that we offer to customers so that they understand what the customer's trying to do because they understand what they've heard. Mm-hmm. And no, we're not perfect, but we make huge efforts. We use technology and we just try like heck to make sure everybody has a good experience with self-directed IRAs. Because we don't sell the investments. It's all up to the people. So we want to make it as easy as possible to do business with Quest.
That is totally the truth there. Do you have a big goal for the company for 2019? I've asked everybody I've had on in the last couple of months from Quest, and always asked them, from Nathan, your brother, to Nate, to Ingrid, everybody else. What's the big goal? You have a big goal for this year?
Well, we always have, because we're licensed by the Texas Department of Banking, then we have to put business plan together, right? Mm-hmm. So the business plan for 2018 was to be at $1.5 billion in assets, and we're at 1.57, so I think we did pretty good there. And then the 2019, the goal is 1.7 billion, well on our way to that. And then the 2020 goal is 2.0 billion. I don't even think there's any question about us surpassing all of that and then some in assets. And we gain about as many as 500 accounts a month. So I think we're well on our way to satisfying our goals and meeting the capital requirements for the Department of Banking. So we're very proud of that. We're working hard. We get exhausted sometimes, but we're there for you to serve your needs.
Right. That's a big thing out there. You guys just do a tremendous job. Lots of great things going on there. Once again, everybody, check out questtrust.com. You can check out the questexpo.com. Like I said, it's Houston, Texas, August 23rd to the 25th. Amazing event. You do not want to miss. Actually, so you're counting down 171 days to the next Quest Expo.
There you
go. Quincy, I want to say thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to come out here. Any final words you'd like to leave our Note Nation and the people here on the Note Closer Show podcast before you wrap it up for the day?
Come to our website, questtrustcompany.com, and get the education that you need and open the accounts that you need or want, and just have fun. Our toll-free number is 855-FUN-IRAs. That's 855-FUN-IRAs. I know that sounds crazy, but we had to have a memorable number. Don't ask me to translate that live and in person here, but you can figure it out from your phone. It's fun as long as you do your due diligence and make good investment decisions. You'll have a great time, and I appreciate the time on the show today.
Quincy, always honored. You have a standing invitation anytime you want to come on to be on the show. So
appreciate it.
Anytime there. So guys and gals out there, once again, take the time, check out questtrustcompany.com, 1-855-FUN-IRAs. They've got an amazing educational schedule. Check it out, network. Get your accounts open. Start today. Don't delay. If one of your big goals in 2019 was to take control of your finances, retirement, this is the place to start at. And Quest is nice enough. If you use the code Carson19, it may knock a few bucks off any fees or opening account fees that you may have along the way, or discount going to an event. So once again, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Note Closers. I want to thank, again, Quincy Long for being our guest today. But go out and make something happen, everybody, and we'll see you all at the top. Bye.
Bye.